In a small town that sat between two hills where nothing much happened fast, there was a man named Raju and a dog who had no name that anyone except Raju had given him. The dog had arrived at Raju's door the way stray dogs arrive, tentatively reading the situation, prepared to leave if the situation required it. Raju had given him food. The dog had decided to stay. That was the whole beginning of their story. Bread and the decision to trust, which is the whole beginning of most important things. For 7 years, they were inseparable in the way that certain men and certain dogs become inseparable. Not through training or ownership in the formal sense, but through the specific, daily companionship of two creatures who have chosen each other without a contract. Raju went to the market. The dog went. Raju walked the evening road. The dog walked. Raju sat in the chair outside his door in the late afternoon. The dog sat at his feet. This was the whole shape of their life together. Raju died on a Wednesday in November. Quietly, the way people die who have not made a performance of their lives. A heart that had simply used what it had and was finished. The family came. The arrangements were made. And the dog, who understood none of the formal human processes that surrounded death, understood one thing with complete certainty. Raju had been there. And then Raju was not. And the dog went looking for him the only way a dog knows to look. It followed the procession. Not because it understood processions. It did not. But Raju's smell was still there. In the group of people moving through the town street, and the dog followed the smell the way it had always followed Raju. To the cemetery at the edge of town, to the specific patch of earth. And it sat down at the graveside and waited for Raju to come back. The family tried to bring the dog home in the first days. It came. It ate. It left again before morning, back to the same plot of earth in the cemetery. This happened 3 times before the family understood that the dog was not lost. It was exactly where it had decided to be. At the last place it had been with Raju, waiting with the specific uncomprehending loyalty of an animal that knows where its person last was and has not been given any information that would make leaving make sense. The town noticed. Small towns notice everything, and they notice the things that are faithful before they notice most other things. People began bringing food. An old woman named Kamala came every morning with a steel bowl of rice. The school children brought bread on their way home. The dog accepted what was offered without leaving its post, eating at the graveside, sleeping at the graveside, rising each morning from the same spot to watch the cemetery gate as if today might be the day Raju walked through it. 1 year passed. Then 2. The dog aged in the way dogs age, visibly and faster than the people watching it wished it would. The fur around its muzzle went gray. The pace of its morning walk from its sleeping spot to the cemetery gate slowed. But it did not leave. Season after season, it was there. The town had stopped being surprised by this. The dog's presence at the grave had become as ordinary and as extraordinary as anything that is both constant and impossible at the same time. Word reached people outside the town eventually. Travelers who passed through. A local journalist who wrote a small piece that was shared more widely than small pieces usually are. People began coming specifically to see the dog. not to see a dog. Exactly. To see what 10 years of faithfulness looks like when it is sitting in the afternoon light beside a grave in a small town cemetery. What it actually looks like in the body of something, in the body that never decided to be an example of anything. People who came brought their own things with them. A woman who had lost her husband the previous year sat for an hour without speaking. A young man who had been estranged from his father for a decade came and did not know why until he was sitting there. The dog did not perform for any of them. It simply existed in its faithfulness, the way the sun exists in its light, without awareness of the effect, and without any reduction in the constancy of it. In the 9th year, the dog's walks became shorter. Kamala, who had been bringing the steel bowl every morning for 9 years, began sitting with the dog while it ate, which she had not done in the earlier years. Neither of them was young anymore. The old woman and the old dog sat together at the grave in the mornings, the way two people sit together who have been faithful to the same thing for a very long time and know, monkey, without saying it, that the time is becoming shorter. On a morning in the dog's 10th year, Kamala arrived with the steel bowl and found the sleeping spot empty. The dog was gone. Not wandered. It had never wandered, not once in 10 years. Gone the way things go when they have finished what they came to do. Beside the grave where it had waited a decade. At the spot that had been its whole world. Since the day it followed the smell of the only person it had ever chosen to belong to. The town buried the dog beside Raju. Not a grand ceremony. A quiet one. The kind the town had always been better at anyway. They made a small marker. Someone left flowers. Someone left a steel bowl. And the lesson that a stray dog with no name had been teaching that small town for 10 years settled into the earth beside its teacher, leaving the people who had watched it with the specific, irreversible knowledge of what it looks like when love is not a feeling but a decision, made once, and held without exception, for as long as holding is possible.